One of the things that I love about being a hip-hop fan is that every year there's this battle for who's going to drop the best album of the year. So to start off this episode, I want to actually take you through some previous album of the year contenders and see if you agree with it. And guys, of course, this is always subjective, but in today's video, we'll be taking you through what we think will be the best rap album of 2022. So to start off, let's see if you agree with these picks from previous years, all right?
All right, let's do it.
2021, The Off-Season by J. Cole. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert by Little Sims.
Absolutely. Two contenders.
Both contenders. 2020, A Written Testimony by Jay Electronica. RTJ4 by Run the Jewels.
Yes, spot on.
Okay. 2019, Igor by Tyler and Bandana by Freddie Gibbs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 2018, Kids See Ghosts and Taboo by Denzel Curry.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, I mean, listen. With this year, there's a lot of contenders, and the main name that comes to mind for everybody is obviously Kendrick Lamar. He has classics. We know that every time that he pops his head out, there's magic to be made, and I think for this conversation, we can't include him because it's too easy. There's no fun if you just say Kendrick Lamar, right? It's kind of the easy answer.
It is a generic answer. And I like this conversation because we already have some contenders this year. I mean, there have been really strong projects. A few good things by Saba's definitely in my conversation right now. Conway the Machine's new album as well. So
they're all going to get dethroned. In my opinion, based on everything that's come out, nothing stands a chance as a contender.
Conway's is really strong. I have been enjoying it. But I want to talk about Denzel Curry, okay? Because Denzel Curry is a very special artist in our industry right now because he's someone that I feel as if has never conformed to norms in music, has never tried to make pop records, has never tried to dilute his projects, has never tried to feed his fan base bullshit, and has always stuck to his true form. And with this, Melt My Eyes, See My Future this year, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, excuse me, you could see the direction he's going into. He has dropped 2 immaculate singles, and apparently he's back to writing. Apparently this is going to be a massive album for him. So why do you think that this is probably going to be your prediction? Because it hasn't come out yet. This is a prediction video. Why do you think this will be your prediction?
Yeah, I think a main reason for me is the fact that Denzel Curry has done this before. If you look at 2018 and the album that was Taboo, he presented this theater-like experience where you had an album that had 3 different acts, and it literally kind of presented to you the descent of darkness of a black man who's trying to enter this industry that's out to get him, and the emotion he put into it, the versatility, the narrative overall. It was just a mind-blowing concept, and to me, that is my album of the year for 2018. So with the path that he's going on now, knowing that he freestyled on Zoo, he freestyled on Unlocked, and the fact that now he's saying Melt My Eyes, See Your Future is going to be the spiritual successor to Taboo, that gets me super excited because the difference between Denzel Curry and a lot of other albums that are going to drop this year is that Denzel Curry is going to have a story to tell. Because if you look at Walkin', if you look at Zaytoki, there's a lot of heavy subject matter, and I love the fact, too, that the visuals are so fucking cinematic, bro. I mean,
it is.
If you look at the trailer, if you look at the music video for Zaytoki, what Denzel Curry is doing is he's bringing this cultural fusion of African-American history, of Japanese street art and cinematography, and he's going to use those cultural influences to amplify our current world events. And who the fuck is doing that anymore, bro?
There's no one doing that right now. And I feel as if we have a big problem in the industry right now for projects with substance. And we've talked about this on several occasions on the podcast, how artists will come out and they'll try to, form these albums that are optimized for streams and different things. And the feeling that I'm getting with Denzel right now is that this is going to be a repeat case of 2018 where he has too much to say. There's too much going on for him to stay quiet. And he's going to come through and break those barriers. And going back to Taboo, I love what you said about the concept because the concept is not only prevalent for that time and it was prevalent for 2018, it's a message that's still carrying on to this day, and there's so much that's being highlighted throughout it. And a big part for me too within Denzel's albums are the soundscapes, and right away those 2 singles, you understand what he's going for. It's unconventional. It's nothing that you've seen in hip-hop before, and that's what I want to see out of hip-hop right now. We need someone to come through and deliver these diverse productions that don't have these crazy fucking trap drums and the same fucking snare patterns or whatever it is, or the same synths that you're gonna get on X amount of albums. We need someone to come through and really break the barriers down, and that's what I feel as if Denzel Curry does every time he drops a project. Because regardless, okay, 2018 was a massive year for him, but Imperial in my opinion, was another top 10 album of 2016, and you could make the argument for Unlocked being one of the best projects of 2020.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to Denzel Curry, he has this Midas touch on quality. Whatever he ends up touching is not only quality, but it's diverse, it's thought-provoking. It puts you in a soundscape that no other artist allows you to enter. So what do you think is the greatest ability of Denzel's, and how do you think that that is going to transpire into this next album?
I think the biggest plus going in for this album for Denzel is the fact that, like you said, he's so unconventional and he's very experimental. If you look at Zaytoki, he brought in this drum and bass inspired beat where you had these 90s break beats, and the message is so spiritual because Denzel, the way that he's rapping, the way that he's writing, it's nothing to do with this physical world. He's into the spiritual mode where he's going to be bringing you a lot of game, and that message of that song Zaytoki is literally him leading the blind, him kind of getting his people to join forces together to beat their oppressors. So the subject matter is there. He's forming this to be an actual concept album. But let me ask you this, because when you're talking about an album of the year contender, there has to be a consensus around it. But I feel like a lot of fans, well, maybe not a lot, but a lot of, I would say some fans within the hip hop realm feel like maybe Denzel is too experimental or too unconventional. So do you think that might set him back in being at the top of those end of the year lists for a lot of people?
I think, listen, at the end of the day, if you're questioning someone's creativity and how they're pushing boundaries, I mean, why are you even having this conversation of album of the year? Like, there's a certain level of, I would say, not knowledge, but how could I put it in a nice way? I would say maybe like taste that you have to bring to the table when having a conversation of album of the year. Like, people that have issues with Taboo, of course, there's opinions on every single album, and I listen. I have some gripes with Taboo at certain times, but when you're starting to question someone's creativity, someone's diversity, the way that they're pouring their heart maybe a bit too much in an album, those are not gripes. Those are gripes that you're trying to look for that don't necessarily merit any sort of place in a conversation for album of the year. And the album of the year conversation should never be centered around statistics, because we know this album is not going to fucking, go absolutely crazy and blow up. And I hope it does.
You never know, bro.
I hope it does. I do hope it does. But it's not going to be a CLB conversation, for commercial success.
No, it won't be on that mainstream level.
But that's what I'm trying to say, though, is that the people that even bring in numbers to these conversations, that should not be a place in this. Because the thing is that when you're talking about an album of the year contender, at least in my opinion, it has to have that impact level. It has to be completely diverse and has to have this, I would say, stamp of excellence that no other album within that year possesses. And I think that when you look at Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, this is something that could happen because these two singles are so strong right now.
And the feature list, did you see it? I'll read it out. Jid, Black, T-Pain, Slow Tie, Rico Nasty, Bridget Perez, Buzzy Lee, and 454. And it's only going to be 14 songs. It's going to be a consistent and concise track list. But I think now we have to talk about what could trump Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, because Pusha T's dropping an album this year. You have Travis Scott maybe coming with Utopia, maybe another J. Cole release. In my opinion, Denzel's still the front runner. Kendrick not included in the conversation, but who else do you see maybe coming in and taking away that spotlight from Zell?
Earl Sweatshirt had a very impressive release this year. Listen, this is what I'm going to say, is that I think that's going to be one of the biggest sleepers for the album of the year contenders, because the same way Vince Staples released the self-titled project last year, I feel as if a lot of people didn't give it, the flowers it deserved. Made my top 10 albums of the year list last year, and I kind of see that album following suit with the self-titled because it's short, it's concise. I think it only has a runtime of 24 to 25 minutes, and the
you could see it being better than Denzel's album.
I could maybe see it being, because this is the thing though, is that I don't want to have a bias having this conversation. Obviously, I think I enjoyed Denzel Curry's music better than Earl's, but what Earl did with that album is fucking special. I really do think it's an enjoyable listen. Again, a few good things. Like that's a fantastic project and was a great listen. I mean, we had the full album reaction on our Patreon if you guys want to access that, link in the description. But what was so memorable about that album was the concept behind it, was the pacing behind it. So who knows, maybe those albums are going to strive in different areas that Melt My Eyes, See Your Future don't.
What about artists that haven't dropped yet though? Like, you see Jid coming into play, because the Forever Story's been anticipated, but I don't see it being as deep in message. I don't see it.
I think honestly the only guy that we could really talk about here is Pusha T, because if you want to go back to 2018, I personally put Daytona over Taboo, and I don't think it's a far race whatsoever. I'm a big fan of Taboo, but what I've heard so far from Pusha T is sounding absolutely fucking immaculate, especially with Diet Coke.
Also, Lupe Fiasco, you can't ever count him out of the race if he does drop this year. One of the best living lyricists around, and he's someone else who, again, brings in that substance. And another artist I thought of is Vince Staples, because he's dropping Ramona Park Broke My Heart in April, and Vince Staples is always in the running for Album of the Year, but I think Denzel really has this in terms of being the front runner, Kendrick aside. I think Melt My Eyes to Your Future is going to be the album that takes him to that level and gives him more respect, because a lot of people, because of his quirks, because of his experimentative style, people don't give him his flowers. And I think that this album could be the one that gets him that notoriety within the game. But we'll have to see, guys. Let us know down in the comments, of course, who you think will be dropping the best rap album of 2022. And of course, once Denzel Curry does drop the album, which is slated for release on March 25th, 2022, according to a rumor, as soon as he does drop that album, though, we are going to be reacting to it live on our Patreon plan with our entire community. So if you guys want to access that, check out the link in our description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching the full video, and if you're new to NFR, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we'll be keeping you guys updated with the latest album releases in terms of update videos, album reviews, and our own original series on the weekly. And we also have our Patreon plan available in the description below, where you can access weekly bonus content and also access to our Discord. So be sure to check out all of that, and we'll catch you in the next one.